All right. We are live and without James, who'll hopefully either be joining us shortly from his car or not at all. So you may just get a full interactive video with me and Kate in the background, socially distancing, of course. All right, James, how do I get you on? You request. Go live with Coach Shane. I think it may be working. Maybe.
We're in.
We're in. Cool.
Jesus, technology.
Good.
What's going on?
Now what? I was fully convinced this wouldn't work, but there we go. All right.
Sean. So obviously, coffee. Yeah, that's it. Let's tell us how it went on. So obviously, we opened the gym Monday morning, and then lockdown hit. Which this coffee and coaches was going to be about adversity and resilience. You know what I mean? Under the new lockdowns, but lockdown's been lifted, so it sort of ruined the coffee. Coffee and coaches. What's going on? All right. How did you feel when it hit, Sean? How did you feel? Where was your mind at?
Man, I don't know. I love lockdown. I get so much.
I hope people from my Instagram from the UK aren't listening to this. They've been in lockdown for like over a year.
Yeah, I love little lockdowns. But I think, I think we were at our, where were we? We were together. Oh, we're at our accountant Monday morning, just as we're about to go in, and we got the text started coming through that we're going into a lockdown at 5 p.m. And it's that initial, it's more like, I don't mind it because I'm pretty comfortable with like any sort of business stress. I've got a pretty good growth mindset towards it, so I'm always like, okay, sweet. What are we going to do? Here's what we can do with this extra little time we're going to have, and we've had actually a really good week on that front. But it's more like, from a member standpoint, we know a lot of people struggle mentally. Like the gym is their sort of their outlet, their way of feeling good. So there was a bit of messaging back and forth with a few people on Monday, just making sure they were all good to go. And I think it's just that providing that reassurance that, hey, we got shit sorted. We've done this before. If things get extended, we were already, we did really well last time. But I think for us, it was like, how can we make sure, like, if things get worse, what can we do even better than what we did last time? So I think that was pretty good. And I think you were pretty similar headspace to me.
Yeah, I was this time. I thought it was, you laugh about it to some extent, Queensland have done a pretty good job. Lockdown for 3 days. Just like, okay, let's just do it. But let's plan ahead. Like I said, if we did go into lockdown, like a bigger, longer one, we were more than prepped and more than prepared. So there was no stress. But like I said, it's just probably from a member perspective and from a selfish perspective, I was going to take a couple of days off. And then this hit. And then I couldn't because nowhere was open. So I'd just be sat at home. So I'll do it another time. But yeah, I think it's good. I think, what did I say yesterday? I think because when I said that lockdown's happening, I had a few messages from the UK of people going, we've been locked. And I get that, right? I mean, so it's like our problems is still relative, right? And I think this goes for anything. Like perspective is great to have. And I get it. And I go, we're not in the UK. They've been locked down for so long. But that 3-day lockdown is still my problem or our problem or people in Queensland's problem. And it's not to say the problem isn't real. Like problems are relative to the situation, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's something that people massively misunderstand. Just because the example, like super rich people still get depressed. And people go, oh, how can you be depressed when you've got everything you ever wanted? But again, it's still relative. Like your problems are your own and we deal with them in our own ways. Like, yeah, we had a 3-day lockdown. I know, UK's been in lockdown for God knows how long. It would suck. But they probably found a way to cope with it. Whereas this was just thrust upon us. We had a whole bunch of new problems to deal with.
Yeah, I remember when my parents were coming out a couple of years ago and my aircon had broke in the room that they were staying in. And like, I was going mental. I was like going mental. Shut up, Siri. Like mental, trying to sort this out. And people were like, it's only air conditioning. I was like, I think someone said, they don't have aircon. We don't have aircon or they don't have aircon anywhere. I was like, or in Africa or whatever. Think about them. They don't. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't live in Africa, do I? I live in Queensland, Australia, and I want aircon in my room. So my problem was big at that time. Do you know what I mean? Not everything has to go back to somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, perspective is nice, but But there we go. But obviously lockdown lifted today, midday. So we're back open this afternoon.
Yeah, I think literally this time last year, we were meant to go on my Bucks party, but that got cancelled because of last year's lockdown. And we were sort of umming and ahhing, like at the beginning of the month, I was like, oh, are we going to do my Bucks again this time around, same weekend, because it's my birthday Saturday. And we're going to like try and make it a whole thing again. But lucky we didn't. Because we were in the same boat, exact same boat as last year. And I probably would have been a bit negative then, but you know, I think there's like with any situation, I love that saying, like, well, you can't really control any situation you're in. You can always control how you react to it. And I think that's a pretty powerful thing. Like whether some people see this lockdown, they start blaming everyone else, start kicking off about the government, and it's like, oh, these stupid doctors and nurses should have known better. It's like, oh, fuck. Maybe they did everything they can. Maybe something happened that was out of their control, but they probably just did the best they can. That's what everyone is trying to do.
Yeah, and regardless of what's happened, it's like from a personal perspective, it's like there's absolutely nothing you personally can do about it.
No.
So like, why stress about it? And it's like people were worrying about going into lockdown again, but why stress about it now? Because if it happens, you are just going to stress about it twice. So what are you worried? You know, why are you worried about it too much? Why are you waving at me?
Oh, I'm just waving at everyone.
What was your post yesterday? It was good. The worst case scenario is very unlikely. That was an interesting topic.
Yeah, I think
great picture, by the way.
Yeah, I know, right?
If you haven't seen this picture, go and look at it, because we were trying to get a professional picture taken next to our signs, and Sean was very drunk at the time, and he thought this picture would be the picture that we would put on like LinkedIn and stuff. Like it would be a very good professional photo.
Yeah, I think it still turned out great, and I still got great use out of it. But yeah, I think one of the biggest things when people are afraid of trying something, whether it's a new training regime or a new diet or anything for that matter, or like wanting to quit their job, we always focus on like we always think about the worst case scenario, and we think of that as being like an absolute certainty. It's like, oh, if I leave my job to go for another thing, I won't get it, and then I won't have any money, you know, and then like my life's over. But like when you break things down and when you really look at it, like the worst case scenario is you might not get the job, or you might get the job, or if you don't get the job, you may end up at home with your parents, and you like your parents. So it's not, things aren't never as bad as what they seem. Like we always make this worst case scenario out to be like the reality of this situation, but in actual fact, it's very, very, very unlikely. And I think with anything that causes you a little bit of discomfort or challenges you, there's always growth there. And I think that's one thing that everyone needs a little bit more. We need to look for discomfort if we want to change. Like whether you agree with that or not, like there's always discomfort in change, and there's always growth.
Well, I think people are just, it's been driven into us like not to fail, never to fail from when we were kids, but not to fail anything. So people are just so fearful of failing because why? Because they're going to be embarrassed of it. But, you know, no one, I would say, successful in anything in life has gone through it easily. Like you literally have to fail. You have to fail at times. You have to not get jobs. You have to create plans that fail. Even when you're trying to build muscle, you have to fail at some point. Like you always have to fail. But if you got embarrassed every time that you failed something, you know, like you're saying, you're never gonna progress there ever.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the main sort of takeaway from that. Like,
hey, Martin,
I saw that. Yeah, I think the worst case scenario that you're thinking of is very unlikely, and once you can sort of comprehend that and dive in on that, I think there's a real powerful lesson there. So if you want to read a little bit more about it, you can jump over to my post and see not only that the great write-up, but also a great photo of James and I.
We just remember we were very drunk at the time.
Yes.
Very drunk at the time. But that's what goes on from that failure. It's actually on my phone, that post that yesterday about that Seneca quote, pretty much about like, you shouldn't go through life. Like, I don't want difficulty in my life, but I'm naive to think that it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
you know, and you just
But yeah,
think that you're going through. Go on.
I was just going to say, like, whilst some people don't search out, like, I'm not saying go and make life difficult, but when you're looking to change your circumstances or change like your current situation, there's generally going to be difficult decisions there. There's going to be challenge. And I think rather than avoiding that challenge, I think, you know, when people embrace it and look to overcome it, that's where the growth is. And I think that's why these things are so rewarding when it happens, because good things never come easy. Like anything in life, I guarantee it, there's always some kind of adversity that people had to overcome. Like whilst it is hard and there are challenges, it's worthwhile overcoming to get to the good.
Yeah, and I think what we were saying about lockdown happening and just being ready for it if it did happen, it's like, understand that, like I said, you don't want to look for them, but they're going to happen. So just be ready for them. Like, you know, I think Ryan Holiday writes about, don't be ready as if like someone's knocking on your door and you're not sure who's there. Like, be ready with like a strong mindset in a good position that you can open that door at any point and just attack it and get it done. And
Yeah,
I think
like
it's also fine to feel emotional, I think, at some point too. We're not saying that like you don't have to feel everything. I think it's just saying bad things do happen sometimes, and that's okay. And how you handle it is okay, as long as eventually you come out of that other side.
Yeah. Boom. Agree. Anything else?
I did have talking points on my notes, but I'm actually on my phone because usually we're in person, but obviously social distancing.
For another 45 minutes.
45 minutes until our lockdown ends, you know what I mean? And then we are good to go. Oh, Easter. Let's just touch on Easter. Easter weekend coming up. I'm already seeing fucking douchebags talking about having to exercise to burn off calories, and you don't have to do anything, you know?
Don't worry about it.
You don't have to do anything. If you want an Easter egg or you want to have chocolate, eat some chocolate. You'll be fine. Okay, you have permission to eat at any point of your life, at any time of day. You have permission to do whatever you want.
I got Leo a bunch of those like little, you know, the little chocolate eggs that I wanted to like hide around the house everywhere. But then he's probably still a bit too young to play that game, so I'll just hide them for myself and go get them.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, imagine having to exercise to eat. Like, what a terrible mindset. And if you're a gym or a coach or anyone out there that thinks this, go and die. Too harsh? I don't know. But that's very sad. Yeah, well, go and learn something. Go and learn something. Like, absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah. I think literally just got off a client call before going into Easter break. Like, I think one of our biggest things as coaches is to give people the freedom to say yes and no. Like, if you want to have a million Easter eggs, you fully can, but you also have the opportunity to say no. Like, yeah, that's where the freedom lies. It doesn't have to be an all-in approach on everything. You have the freedom to do whatever the hell you want at all times.
Yeah. And I think that shows a good relationship with food. And you're exactly right. When you can say yes and no to the foods that you want, you know, it's being able to have some eggs or have some chocolate completely guilt-free, or have a beer or whatever, and then stop when you want to. You know, it's as simple as that. You don't have to go crazy, but you definitely never, ever, 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 ever in the history of the world have to earn your food. Don't think that.
Yeah.
That's it from me.
That's it.
Hello, everyone.
I apologise for James for wanting to kill everyone. That was pretty aggressive.
That was a bit aggressive, but hopefully it's got
understandable.
Yeah, that's it. So we'll go before Sean's sweat patches show up anymore on that t-shirt. I won't even lift up. I'm hot in my car, man. I'm hot in my car. All right, I'll see you soon. Like in about 10 seconds.